One should never be left alone to dwell with his or her own thoughts. For this is how tragedies occur. This is how bloody revolutions are born. This is how poems begin and end. One should never be left alone to dwell with his or her own thoughts. For this is how worry takes hold. This is how we die inside. This is how tragedies occur. This is how poems begin and end.
Bit by bit, as board by board, cell by cell, we become the babies that we weren't. They say our cells replace us every 7 years. On they go, never knowing if they will be the last to be tasked with this configuration. The cells conspire around the brain encased in newness. In prayer, they cluster, surround it like a seed. Clotted scabs, they scuttle across the skull. They communicate with electricity. Language drips through a ganglia maze. They flicker and fade like dancers at the fire. Turning back into the night, they turn away as cells of other, never knowing if they will be the last to be tasked with this configuration.
I cast shadows. I make them dance and flicker and bounce from wall to wall for my own amusement. Some are small, others huge and monstrous. Sometimes they appear from thin air. Sometimes they slowly seep from the darkness that always surrounds me. I cast shadows because it is in my nature to do so, though often it makes people uncomfortable. At best, this causes me to be reclusive and antisocial. At worst, it forces me to constrain my shadows, to make them fall in line with what others expect, to cast myself in a form that appeases them. But I have learned that if you tame your shadows, hide them to please another, in the end, that person will always be in love with someone other than you.
"40 years of thinking about the bomb, the doomsday clock, tick-tock, tick-tock. I guess it started with asking about it, the cursed kid always asking more about it, duck and cover, duck, duck, boom. 40 years later, how am I? Glad you asked. Okay, I say. Okay, no, I'm not doing so well. But you can't explain being tired. Never mind. Sometimes things are just hard. It depends where you sit. Maybe it depends what you know about the other side, or maybe more like what you're okay with. To be honest, I don't get being okay. Never did, not even as a kid. Straight up, even my
the softest color, soft like loam, like night. Black night is the lover who stays, is the forgetting forever of crazy dappled time. Black is quiet.
Fire before ice, a litter of acorns neglected, walnuts cracking on my hood, on everyone's hood. Open your palm, let leaf blowers in, before rain. These lines cross in a wood of hunters, dodecahedron of leaves, impeached. Squirrels are too busy. Put away your sandals. Pray for deer before impact. These howlings of windseed, of pulp and pumpkins our hands inhabit. Hollowed, illuminated faces. It was before they came for the cider press and witch. It was when crows called from oak to corn, the tractor idles, heaved from rust.
Karen's cat joins the virtual poetry salon. Perhaps Karen's cat loves poetry, wants to feel words on fur, like purring, but breathier. The only cat in the salon tonight makes a grand entrance with no words. Are words necessary? All these humans think so, batting at fame with zooming voices. But what Karen's cat thinks will never be spoken, no matter how many lines are broken and weighed on air.
Side. I keep clicking my heels, but I'm still here. What urge or demiurge propelled me hither, I don't know. I was just strolling down some dazzled lane when of a sudden a tiny black funnel out by the horizon shimmied into view, gave a wiggle, and then was gone, which had been no more than a wisp, no more. But when again it scritched across my path, it was quite tall and looked to be made of bees or thorny gramophone needles or all the inky ABCs swept clean off all the newsprint pages, now flapping forlorn and naked against the stiles and fence posts and silos of some dreary outland. And again it was gone. And I sauntered on until behind me came a great and curious rushing. As I turned to look about, my hair flew up above my ears. And before I knew it, the rest of my person had lifted off, spinning high in the whistling air, till I landed here, with a flop and a bang in the roiling grass under this weird sky, a small dog nipping at the tail twigs of my broom.
There's a crow living in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too judgmental. I say, you're not really there. No one else gets to see you. When, how, why exactly did the leveraging of personal power become a fetish? For me, I'm pretty sure it was when my mom took me to go see the rock opera Tommy when I was 7 years old. If you dress it up, you can pretend it's however light or dark you want it to be, but never anything more than a prop. No, nothing more than a prop. I'm pretty sure this is someone else's song. I'm pretty sure this is someone else's war, because, we've heard it all before. I believe there are creatures who live in the desert, capable of presenting themselves to us as denizens of the Marianas Trench that lives inside each of us. It is where we come from, after all. I believe there are creatures who live in the cities, capable of uploading our shallowest currents straight into our dreams. It is where we have been going all this time. There is a demon that lives inside my DNA. I've missed them, so they say. But don't break open that jar. You can't know what will escape at the end.
Speakers are better than expected. Nostalgia, the wanting of a better time. Not better really, but the wanting it to have been better. We did our best, I sometimes say to the younger me. She is often angry. She doesn't want to hear it from this coward in an attic. I mean, did we? I feel like this young woman wants to throw a bottle at me. I miss her. I conjure her with old playlists and old boots. Like I want her to help me. Like I want her to reach back through the ganglia and pull me through my tangles. I read a page from her diary. Don't let me become. And then there's a list of things. I don't want to read it. I feel like she was describing me. The speakers are better than expected and piano pours out. It is the closest that I can get to that person again, to 1990s me. Things weren't good, no, but the difference, I'll tell you, the difference is that when you are young, you hang on to possibility. You say it won't always be like this. You say, well, hey, I'm going to go out in the world. I can change. Things will change. Things can always change because there is time. I have time. You don't hear the ticking just yet. You're on a cusp. You aren't always thinking about rewinding. Somewhere around 45, I realized that I spent half of my life escaping to the future, and now I spend the rest of it escaping to the past. It's always anywhere but here, anytime but the present. So here I am right now in an attic, and here I am right now with this view of the street, and here right now, it isn't hopeful. Here right now feels ugly. People waiting at a light outside, I can see them each in the pause, checking phones, pushing buttons, eating fries, drinking coffee, yelling at children, yelling at each other, yelling at the car in front that isn't moving. I see mouths moving, yelling, or maybe worse, people side by side, driving, silent, checked out. People who don't want to be in the same car anymore, going to the same place, or people looking around as they go at other houses, hating their own. People at the light are always sighing or scowling. I don't know which is better, which is worse, which response to the world to choose. More often, though, it is anger, like we're stuck here every day in the angry days, and I am stuck here too. So in the attic, I'm watching Traffic, and Little Earthquakes is on by Tori Amos, and neither is what I choose. And a wave of piano spreads out, and you can only marvel at what a woman can do with 10 fingers. She says, if you know me so well, then tell me which hand I use. The sound is joined by the window, the wind, an anonymous accomplice. The rattle is soft, but I expect it. Irresponsible, yes, they should be replaced. They are drafty, yes, that gets mentioned each November. They are down on the long, long list of things that need attention, as the attic needs attention, as sometimes I need attention. And I want you to know which hand I use. Things need attention. We fight inside about our lists and time, the twisted commodity we bargain with, not the poems we don't finish, not the music in the attic. We make lists of other things, like order the printer ink, like pick up dog food, like shampoo the rug, like clean the bathroom. We stop listing when we don't want to become, because we already became, and we are here. And how we got here is another story. And how we sit in our cars at the light is another story. Again, the piano is reaching for the windows. The crescendo excites me. This should be on a different kind of list. This is attention I want. A crescendo. I want to lift. I want to feel like my heartbeat is beating towards something going faster for a reason. And everything now is wait, not the right time. Well, now it is December. The windows have to wait until spring. The window pane reminds me in its rattling, in its draft that hits me. Winter is all about unfinished business, that old houses bring guilt and lists of their own. And like them, I am unfinished. I'm in unfinished restoration. I am unfinished business, and I think, but I'm ticking. The windows have done their job imperfectly. I'm reminded that they've kept storms out. The bats are kept out mostly. They find their way when they want to. They've circled me, leaving on their own eventually, losing interest. The attic doesn't give them the warmth they imagine. Sometimes I want the bats. Sometimes I want the rattle. Sometimes I want the draft. Sometimes I want the sounds of before. In winter, it's all about unfinished business until you sit with winter surrounding you in an attic, having spent your last spring. Thank you.